I know it's a very busy day, so thanks for sharing some time with us here on Bloomberg TV and radio. We understand the vote on the underlying bill will take place before this hour is out. Can you give us a sense of what the timeline looks like here, and are you a yes?
Yes, I will. Thank you. I will be a yes vote on the package. I think the president and the speaker have worked very hard to not only get all of our appropriations past the House, but also working with the Senate to try to get this done. I think you'll see here shortly before the end of the hour, you will see that Republicans will be voting for this appropriations measure. We probably will see some Democrats vote for it, too. And we will get this bill on its way.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I believe, according to my count, not a single Democrat voted for the rule. And I know a couple of Republicans had to change their votes to make that happen. Is that your expectation that once we get to the underlying bill, you'll have some Democrats cross the aisle to vote with you?
I do think so, because there are Democrats that have community projects that should be funded through these appropriations bills. So if they vote against the appropriations package, then they would be voting against getting tax dollars back to their own districts for projects that have been on hold for 3 years. So I do think that we will see, certainly the rule is a procedural vote that Democrats universally vote against. If the Democrats were in the majority, you would see Republicans universally voting against the procedural rule. But once a bill goes to the floor, I think they're freer to vote for those things, and you will see us pick up some Democrats.
Well, this is how the game is played, right? I'm just curious if any deals were made today, Congresswoman, for better or worse. The Speaker had to flip Andy Ogles and John Rose. Was there anything that was agreed upon that we should know about or that might change the political landscape in this legislation?
Not to my knowledge. I certainly wasn't part of those conversations, but I'm glad to see that our colleagues supported the rule. It's an important procedural vote that allows us to move forward on debate and vote on the appropriations package. So we don't like to see our own members holding up our rules. I serve on the Rules Committee. That serves an important function in Congress, especially as a tool of the majority. So, again, I don't know what those conversations were. I wasn't privy to those, but glad to see our Republicans came together as they usually do, and we'll have this vote and we'll pass this government funding bill. Republicans will have done their jobs, even despite some of the rhetoric from the left. I think some of them will vote for it too.
Well, Congresswoman, I salute you for your duty on the Rules Committee. That has really become the battleground in the U.S. House for so many issues before it ever gets to the floor. Bring us in the room, if you would, because this was not the knockdown, drag-out fight a lot of people thought that we'd be seeing. Jim McGovern yelling to the rafters at 2 o'clock in the morning. It actually ended up being a pretty civilized debate, and I'm wondering what that tells us about the tone around this particular issue when it comes to ICE enforcement, Homeland Security in the House.
Well, I would say that oftentimes we have these conversations that with Republicans and Democrats, and Chairman Cole and Ranking Member DeLauro on appropriations worked very closely together with their Senate Democrat and Republican counterparts through this whole process. And so what you saw, I think, was not wanting to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Let's take the good things that are in this legislation and in this appropriations package, these big wins that we have for the country, less spending, meeting our priorities, and certainly we are pleased when Democrats want to come on board and work with us on these things versus working against us. Circumstances around the country have risen the temperature on some of the issues, like the immigration and customs enforcement. Again, we're working through those, as is President Trump. And I think what you'll see today, again, is a bipartisanship on the House floor, which honestly, we have more bipartisan votes that come across the House floor typically than we do partisan votes. It's just typically that's not what is covered in the news. But glad to be talking about it today.
Well, yeah, we like to wonk out on policy, as you know, Congresswoman, and I'm curious to what extent we'll be able to extend that bipartisanship to the debate around ICE restrictions. You've heard the demands from Democrats. We talked about them right before you joined us with Tyler Kendall, and one of them includes demasking of ICE agents. Senator John Cornyn told us earlier that was an insult. Retraining for de-escalation. You've already checked off body cameras, I think, on behalf of the department with Kristi Noem's announcement yesterday. But there could be other things that are done here. I'm just wondering what's realistic that you would vote yes for in a piece of legislation?
Well, I don't like to predict what should or will not be in or out of a bill before I see that and decide how I'm going to vote. But I will say that these conversations are ongoing about what this will look like moving forward. It is helpful when the state and local governments, as we have seen in other parts of the country, like in Washington, D.C. and in Memphis, even in blue areas of the country, there is cooperation with Immigration and Customs Enforcement that has resulted in getting criminal illegal aliens who've caused harm to American citizens out of the country. It does help when we have that cooperation with state and local government. I'm going to continue to encourage that, as is President Trump back in Minnesota. That, I think, will get the temperature down. We need to reduce the rhetoric around ICE, too. I've worked with in child services before. I've worked with law enforcement. They have a very, very difficult job. We don't need to be making this job more difficult. And so I do hope that we'll see that cooperation at the state and local level turn the temperature down and the rhetoric down so that we can let ICE do their good work. I mean, we did not see Democrats being outraged at Laken Riley's death at the hands of a criminal illegal alien. Those are the kinds of people we need to be focused on getting out of the country, and I hope that both parties could rally around those efforts.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We saw some Democrats vote for the Laken Riley Act. I wonder, is 2 weeks enough, Congresswoman, to figure this all out? John Thune's already talking about the potential for additional CRs on Homeland.
Well, one good thing is in the One Big Beautiful Bill, we did fund border security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So when the Speaker says that this is a performative fight for the Democrats, that's not that's certainly correct. We've already done that funding, so that's going to be funded no matter what we do. But a no vote would put FEMA at risk. It would put the Coast Guard at risk and TSA at risk of not having funding, which I hope that our Democrat counterparts would not want to see happen. So when we're having these debates, there's always a lot of moving parts. As you say, you like to geek out on these policy provisions, and we're always working on how we can come to an agreement. When we have this bill, this big package, is it 2 weeks enough? Probably not. I think we probably need more time, but we will get there, as Republicans always do.
Well, it's great to spend some time with you, Congresswoman. It sounds like there's going to be a vote about a half an hour from now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, about 1:40, I think, is when we're supposed to have the vote in mind. So be watching for hopefully a passage of our appropriations bills.